Yeah, okay, let's do it again.
So the topic basically is we do a live health check. So we basically in a bit look into one of the stores from here from the audience. I hope that person is here. We'll see. Because like when you signed up for the meetup, we asked the question whether you would be interested in having like a live audit basically of your store, and we took one of the stores and look at them right now a little bit more in detail on what we could do better in order to increase the revenue, the conversion rate, and with that the revenue. But before we start, a quick note on my side. You have seen me already doing the introduction. But who am I actually? So since I'm doing a couple of things, I just wanted to use the chance to quickly introduce myself. I'm Shopify expert at the Shopify expert agency Tante-E. I'm also merchant myself, so we're running right now 2 own Shopify shops. We're building actually a 3rd one right now in the same time. And we are also doing the Shopify Meetup and also this Merchant Inspiration Talks conference, what I mentioned before. So we're doing a couple of things inside the Shopify community. And here you see some logos of clients we've been working with. I tried to choose some of the ones you might know because they're here from Berlin. So I see the Barn also sitting here. I see some others also. Merza, who talked last time. And actually, one of the things we really like, or what I have a special love for, is conversion rate optimization, because this is basically that allows you to keep the same ad spend or even decrease it, but still get more revenue. So that's amazing. And there are 2 things we actually always do. Also when clients approach us, and one thing is actually the shop health checks, which we will do in a minute, or like a deeper analysis where we really take a qualitative and quantitative approach in order to understand better how people actually engage with your store. But the focus today, the shop health check. So this is basically the road I want to take with you today. It's talking really quick, I promise, not too much theory, but a little bit about fundamentals, the conversion funnel, the page speed, and then looking at the example of a store here from the audience. So let's look at the conversion funnel. You guys know it probably, but I wanted to make sure that everybody knows and is aligned. So this is basically the typical journey of a buyer. So you have him here coming to your store. Typically you have something that's called like a funnel, so some process that's happening, and then in the end the result is basically a client with hopefully a lot of products in the cart that he or she just purchased. Typically the funnel of an e-commerce store looks like that. The person comes to the homepage, then from the homepage gets to the category page. On the category page finds one product he or she likes, puts that in the cart, and then checks out. So it's not always this exact funnel, because sometimes people actually enter already on the product page, skipping the first part, but generally you have this 3 different steps of a person coming to your store, adding a product to the basket, then in step 2 is in the cart, and then finishing the purchase. Just a little bit of theory, quite straightforward, I guess. And this is something you should also be familiar with. This is like a screenshot from a Shopify analytics dashboard. So you see the overall conversion rate. This shows you, of course, the percentage of people who actually turned out buyers from the ones who came to your store. And here you see exactly those 3 steps again. So you have the ones, the amount of people actually adding a product to the cart, those who actually started or initiated the checkout, and those ones who not only initiated but also finished the checkout purchase process. Just to give you a little bit of insights, because we hear a lot of questions always like, okay, what actually are like good conversion rates? So the obvious answer is there's no specific answer to this. It always depends on the product, it depends on the industry, depends on the target audience, of course, as well. And but generally, so there are like some rough rule of thumbs I'm putting out here, so you have some kind of estimate. So overall on e-commerce, you can say that there's the normal conversion rate is between 1% and 3%. So if you're within that, that seems fine, but I've seen also shops with a lot higher conversion rate. If it's like a really expensive product, that could be also like way lower, and you're still totally fine. So the general rule is basically every time you get a little bit better, that's already a good start. Because you don't need to understand much, but you actually understand a lot about what's going well and what's not going well in your store. Because based on that, you know where you have to work on. If you compare now your number with the rule of thumb thing, then you know where you have to work on in order to improve your store and work on. So adding to the cart, usually you have between 4 to 10%. 10% is really, really high, of course. but sometimes it can be also between 4%. Then the interesting part actually comes now. Around 50% always drop in the cart. So if it's the case in your store, don't worry about it, because usually it's the case that 40 or 50% of the people still, they just add a product to the cart, but actually they never finish purchasing. The last part, it's around 30%, sometimes 40%, drop in the checkout. So if your dropout rate is around 50 or 60%, then you should probably look at your checkout and see if you have all the payment providers, if you have maybe the shipping costs are too high or not communicated before. One other thing is the page speed. I just quickly want to go into, because of course, like page speed, the quicker your page, the better. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I show you here three tools. They're all free for using. Some general advice is what we see all the time with like different stores we look at. They're sometimes using a lot of apps. Apps are amazing, but they slow down your shop a lot. So use them wisely, because sometimes they really, really hurt your page speed. Another one is check your photos. Because what we see also a lot of times, and I know it from myself, you're in a rush, you want to like upload the product photos, you forget to check if the product photos actually like 2 MB or 3 MB, and then the problem is Shopify doesn't convert them or minimize them. So they actually like, you have like 2 MB of product photo on the site. If you have a product page and you have like 5 to 10 photos or something, then you can multiply that by 10 times 2 MB, and then you have like 20 MB on your page. So what we recommend, there are apps out there who can do also that. What we always say is, if you don't have too many products, use a tool, also a free tool like Tiny PNG. They have this mascot of a panda bear. Use that one and you're really good. So like usually you can then drop drastically the photo size. And then there's some technical stuff you can do. We did a lot of that throughout the past 3 months, and we developed kind of a 10-step guide. We'll publish it soon, and we'll send it out actually to the people who are on the newsletter of Merch Inspiration Talks. That's why I put that domain there. So if you're interested and want to know what you can really do on Shopify and what you cannot do in order to increase the page speed, feel free to sign up. So we have this shop here, which we chose for the life health check. We chose that shop because fashion is a widespread industry of Shopify shops, and I think there's a lot of things we can actually learn from it. It's a really nice store, so like even if we like really are now picky about it and look at things one can improve, it's an already really nice, beautiful store. So don't get us wrong, we're just here for optimizing a shop together and learning more. But they basically, as far as I understood, are a fashion brand, a fashion label, selling shirts, selling sweatshirts, selling different things in apparels. They also have some cooperations with the Fund gehört daneben. So some nice things that are happening. So this is, if you look at it, this is how the landing page looks like. On the one side of the home page, and the other the desktop version, and the other side the mobile version. And then like for the health check now, we look into the first step of the funnel. We look at the navigation, the homepage, and the category page, and the product page to get some insights of like what one could do in order to be a little bit better or like improve it. So here again, the explanation. On the upper part, you see the desktop navigation part. On the right side, you see the mobile part. I picked 3 different things one could do. Let's look first at the USP banner. So this USP banner is basically the thing you see on top there, which I put like a red thing around. You see it also on the mobile version. On the mobile version, you actually see it takes like almost 1/5 of the entire screen, because it's like in a couple of rows. So it's good to use a USP banner, and there are a lot of shops who actually use a USP banner because they explain like the visitor why they should actually purchase at that store and what makes this product amazing. So in their case here, we see 2 different points actually that they point out. So one is actually the fair Seemangan who they use in their apparel. So like a special material they're using. And then the other thing is actually they're shipping for free within Germany. The thing is, you cannot really see that it's like 2 different messages in there because it's like one long sentence. And so if you just like briefly look at it, you oversee it. The other thing is, the messages could be stronger in like the way they're pointed out. And then also, as I mentioned, mobile, it takes a lot of space, and visually it's very basic, so to say. So what could we actually do in order to make it look nicer? I brought here 2, because we don't want to always be picky and say, that's not good, that's very German, the German way. So let's see what they actually could do. I brought here 2 different examples of other stores, both here from Germany. So on the upper one, you see actually Generation Yes, how they handled it. So they are using actually icons to underline the 3 different USPs they have. So even if you're like really scanning through it and don't even process like 1 second, you understand a little bit okay, the hotline thing has the icon of the telephone, and then the shipping has this like little shipping icon, so it's easier to understand. And then also an interesting example, actually, if you check out Zalando, for example, they're not using icons, but already by separating the different points they have, it also makes it really easy and clearer to read what their USPs are. Let's have another look. So this is right now desktop. If you look at the desktop, it looks nice, it's clean, but actually if you look at it, and I tried to put it here with the red circles, there's a lot of space that is not used. And this comes from this square logo they're using. So like on the top left, top right, lower left, lower right, there's a lot of space that is free and empty. So the recommendations we would say here is think about not using like a squared logo, but actually a rectangular one, because then you can still show the same message, the same value, but save a lot of space that can be used differently in order to promote, for example, your products. And then also another interesting idea would be, if you look also at it, that on that right side, there's basically nothing except the card icon and some other icons, but there's nothing else the space is used. So one could actually think of using the left side, for example, for shop categories, and then on the right side, you can use this space for other menu items. For example, the blog, the About Us page, and so on. And to give you also here an example on how that could look like. So here, the usage of a rectangular logo is actually, by the way, the same theme. If I'm not mistaken, they're all using the Prestige theme from Shopify by looking at it, actually. And you can see that it's the same theme, and just by using a different format of the logo, a lot of space is actually saved, and it still looks nice. And then the other thing is, for example, taking TikToks, they're using exactly this, like splitting up the menu, showing a little bit on the left, all shop related, and then logically breaking it and using on the right side some more additional content, some About Us stuff. Okay, and then last point here, how is actually navigation going in this part? So again, you see here the desktop and the mobile version, and there are a couple of things I noticed, at least when I skipped through it. It takes a lot of clicks, especially if you look at mobile. You first have to click on the menu to open the menu, then you have to click on men to see actually what categories are there for men, and then you have to click on this specific category. So it's a lot of clicks actually that takes me to actually get to the product I want to buy. And then also visually, there are more optimal ways one could do it. So like what we would try now is like thinking of ways how to actually bring the categories more straightforward, straight in front of the eyes of the visitor, and then also maybe using, for example, mega menu. This is, for example, the case Zalando uses it. So they have this kind of two-level hierarchy separating women, men, and kids, and then like pre-selected for the larger, or like I guess Zalando thinks I'm a woman, I think. So I'm seeing like now all the categories right away from the women, and don't need to actually like click first on women and then click on the category. So it's bringing me way quicker to actually the different categories. Or another approach is actually Sober Berlin. They're using this kind of mega menu approach, which still you would need like one click more, but actually it looks way nicer because you have already those photos and so on. And there are apps out there on the Shopify store that help you do that actually, and you don't need to invest in coding. So why am I actually talking so much about navigation? So because like navigation is always an underestimated point for a lot of merchants, but actually it's so crucial because it helps the visitor of your store to understand what you actually offer in your store and helps them to find easily what you actually offer. So let's look at the homepage. This is the homepage. If you look at the entire homepage, I put now the desktop in it. So it's cool because it has a very clear structure. It's picking up the different categories that are there in the store, and it's high quality photos and not too much content, so it's really nice. But also here are some things one can do. One is actually to include, so also here, the products are far away. So you need to make at least 2 clicks in order to get to the product. So what actually a lot of stores do, they also already on the homepage, right below the banner, they're showing the 3 bestseller products right there. So basically at 1 click distance, you get already the product. And then another thing is also, like if you look at the store, it looks really nice, but there's no trust symbol or no social proof. And I also talked with Chris before it, and he also mentioned basically one of the main big drivers he always figured out in his stores is like to include social proof and somehow trust elements. And if we look, for example, at MVMT Watches, an international brand, and also Gymshark, here this is like the homepage, how they do it. So right below the banner, they have this featured products or the bestseller products. So if we take the example of Sober Berlin, that's a way also to include social proof. they're using the media logo, so like all the magazines they have been featured in. Another way, if you have not been featured in a magazine so far, there are other ways to put it. For example, if you're listed in a retailer, you could also be showing the retailers that you're listed in. Sometimes it makes sense to have like B2B clients, sometimes there are other things. Sometimes it's events or conferences you've been at, depends, of trade shows, anything that might be recognized in your target audience. Okay, then category page, second last point. If we look at the category page of the shop, this is how it looks like. So also again here, very clear structure. It's very clean, so that's really nice, high quality photos, and also the special brand tone is transmitted, which is also cool and not that typical. But also here, one can see again, due to the way the prestige theme is actually coded or designed, there's a lot of space also here that is not used effectively or efficiently. And then also another thing is there's no filter function, so especially for fashion it would be nice to filter by color, by different other things. Also, if you look on the downside here, it comes after a while, but you basically have here the thing that it's not infinite scrolling. So you would actually, in order to go to the entire product catalog, you would need to click for 1, 2, 3, 4, and a lot of people are lazy, so a lot of people get lost also there. To showcase how Shopify shops actually solve the filter thing, for example, and this is also all solved by filter apps or Shopify apps. We oftentimes recommend, for example, Shopify app product filter and search, which is quite easy to implement. There are also others out there, but these are, for example, ways how to put it. So you could do it as Gymshark on desktop on the left side. You could also do it like Paper and Tea, for example, on the upper part, and this is also usually how it looks like on the mobile. That you have on the top the different filters. You click on the filter and then can see basically what you want to filter for. And then let's have a last quick look on the product page, because this is of course the page, one of the most important pages, because that decides whether people actually decide they want to buy your product or not. This is basically how the product page from them looks like. I put in gray dots above the fold part. So this basically above the fold part is the part you see when you open the page. And what is interesting about it is that the button is not above the fold. So if you want to buy, you basically have to scroll in order and actively look for the button in order to buy it. So this is not optimal. But actually, let's talk first about the good parts, because it's always good to point out what's good. So it's clean, it's high quality photos, again, nice icons, and also the legal basics are included. Because you can see here a lot of times also some stores don't have it, because a lot of actually Shopify themes are not made for the German market. So they're missing sometimes this additional infos for like including VAT and so on. But here the parts that can be optimized. So basically what we would recommend is to restructure the part in order to get the button up, and for example using a sticky button on mobile, so that the add to cart button is always in the screen or above the fold. Then also, which is interesting, is there's no visual hierarchy. That means that usually you want the most important thing, the goal that you have for the page, and here it is that people click actually on the button because you want the people to buy. That this sticks out and gets you right in the face. And here with the black color, actually the first thing, the color that screams at you is the USP banner, because it's so turquoise. So one would have actually to check for the button. And the interesting part is, if some maybe have noticed it, on the homepage, the button color was white. So on the homepage it's white, here it's black. I think in the checkout it was a different color, so there's no consistency. And you want to have the people, actually, like the visitors at your store, to consistently have the same color to know what they have to do in order to get next. Right. Then actually also an important thing, actually this is also legal concerning, there's no info on the delivery time. So as a visitor, I would not know when I can expect the delivery to come. And then another thing also, like the story, the brand lives from the amazing story they have, the special material they have, the amazing people behind it, and nothing is talked about it or shown here on the product page itself. So that's a pity as well. And some examples here. For example, how could you include the delivery time on the page here? 3 bears. They put it right next to the text, for example. And it's a small thing, but people who really actively look for it, they will find it. And then also they have more. This is also a way or an example of how you can actually showcase a little bit more info on the product. Another example you can see here. So Berlin, regarding the product page. they actually picked up the trust elements also here on the product page again, probably because they also run Facebook ads or whatever on and get people right away on the product page, so they also need those trust elements here. But then they have also a lot of additional information here about the product. And later comes a little bit about the ingredients, the special ingredients, and then also about the team and so on. So that's also an interesting case, and like if you wonder how you could include more info on an elegant way. So what have we done now? So we've been looking basically at the first step, looking at the homepage, category page, product page. So in case if we would have looked at the analytics and have seen that like our conversion rate is very low, these are all points in order to increase the conversion rate up there. We could also look, of course, at the cart page and the checkout page in order to see if we can drop more the dropout rates, but I don't want to annoy you today. So here, again, a little summary, what we would recommend our merchant here from the community to do. So first of all, find a consistent way on how to handle the button. Find one action color basically for the button. Then the navigation, switch the logo to rectangular, consider mega menu, consider pimping up the USP bar, and then also looking at the category page, maybe adding a filter app and improving also the spacing on the page. And then last point, the product page, add a little bit more information, restructure the above the fold part so the button is actually above the fold. And that's basically it. Thank you, guys.